Okay, y'all, welcome out. Thankful and grateful for Brandon for being here. Let me tell y'all a little bit about it, and I'm not going to waste too much time here because we want to introduce you to Brandon and his private offering. Okay, Rockstar Capital. I've known Brandon for several years now. We've sent more than a handful of clients his way. Every single one of them has been absolutely stoked, and we're looking at expanding how often and how frequently we're talking to our own clients about opportunities like this. And so what we want to do is take a quick moment and have Brandon come on, and in his own words, they have a beautifully done website I'm sure he's going to tell you about, but in his own words, be able to kind of walk through where this investment came from, how does it actually work, what does it look like, and what can you expect on the back end. Rockstar is a Reg A, SEC compliant private lending company, okay? They've got over 560 current investors, and they're growing every single month, every single week. They have over $83 million in assets under management and capital that they're working with at this point. They've got some really good stuff going. I have no complaints. My clients have no complaints. And I think as you get to hear Brandon out a little bit, if you choose to do business over with Rockstar, you probably won't have any complaints either. So Brandon, let me get out of the way, turn the time over to you, and run away with it here if you would.
Thank you for the introduction, Carson. Always good to see you. Great to see you in Dallas. It's always even better to see you in person once in a while. All right. I without hesitation, we'll make this really simple and easy. I've been in the real estate investment arena for over 25 years, and I've learned a thing or two about investing in alternative assets and real estate properties. And one of the things that happened back in around 2018 was I kind of shifted everything over to the private lending type offerings and bringing my investors into an opportunity to basically be the bank. And it was that move that I was surprised it took me so long to do, but everything worked out well. And what you usually hear is the banks always win. And then on top of that, I don't do lending to renovations, fix and flips, low income type housing, value adds, things that can have a lot of variables that can happen during the lending process. It's the only time that I've ever seen things go south. And I've had issues where I had to go in and like rescue, my investors that went into those deals, make sure they at least got their principal back, or got a little bit of a return on investment. And there was actually a handful of transactions I helped raise capital on that they went completely south. And I basically had to write some checks to my investors out of my integrity and ethics. Like, just if I believe it, if I help an investor invest, that I stand behind what I help them invest in, even if it's another operator. And, so I wrote some checks so that they didn't lose their principal. It's been that kind of mentality that has earned me a loyal base of clients. If you go onto our website at rockstarcapitalfund.com, I do encourage you to read some of the testimonials. I've got investors that I'm so gracious for all the investor testimonials, and you may have to grab a cocktail, glass of wine or something like that to read them because there's a lot. But you'll notice that they put their names on there, where they're from, and I believe we even have on there how long they've been an investor or client since. I've got many investors been with me for several years and some even over a decade. And that'll usually tell you a little bit about an operator. Please feel free to do your due diligence on us. A Reg A offering means I had to be qualified by the SEC. That means background checks and due diligence on me. Financials. I have to send my financials up every 6 months, and I have to provide an independent third-party audit every year. We take what we do seriously. Now, the great thing about our offering, a Reg A offering, is we can work with accredited and non-accredited sophisticated investors. Our minimum investment requirement is only $10,000. We have $1,000 units or shares. You can invest any amount you want over that $10,000, and you can use personal funds, trust under an LLC, or if you have 401ks or IRAs that can be converted to self-directed IRA custodians, you can also use qualified funds to invest with us.
And you guys will even help walk some people through that process, right?
We will. We have 3 different self-directed IRA custodians that we use. So if you are someone that has Fidelity or Schwab or, some sort of wealth management company that's managing it, you can typically, almost all of them, you can move or roll over to a self-directed IRA custodian, which then allows you to tell your custodian, hey, I'd like to invest in alternative assets, which is like us. And I know other syndicators. So yes, we can help. And I've got someone on the West Coast, the East Coast, and then Central so that we can cover any of the time zones just to make it a little easier for you. So yeah, That's the great thing. Any type of funds,
Yeah. What
low minimum.
people expect if they were to move their money over, whether let's just call it $100,000, what could they expect? Timeline of, they look at your website, they go in, and maybe you can talk about some of that too. How would they reach out for more information if they wanted to get a hold of you and your team? But, from deciding, maybe they watch this video, they look at your website, they're like, hey, I want to go further with this and see where it goes. What happens next, all the way to, they hand you $100,000. What can they expect on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis? What does it look like?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Everything is done through our website. We utilize, you have your own investor portal. So if you go to rockstarcapitalfund.com and then click on the link that says investment opportunity and scroll to the bottom, it'll say contact us today. That'll put you through. And then what we'll do, our team will send you a registration for the portal and instructions on how to take those steps. We've been told that it's very simple. I'm kind of technology challenged because I'm old. I'm 57 years old and this is not my thing, but it's really simple. You do those steps, go to the contact us today. We even have like a live chat thing there, or where you can text us questions down in the bottom right corner. That'll go to our investor relations director, which happens to also be my son, Dylan Rooks. We are a family business, by the way. Both my sister-in-laws work for me. Both my sons work for us. And what happens is you get your subscription, your questionnaire, you fill your stuff out, you sign, we countersign. And then our admin team gives you the wiring instructions. And as soon as your funds hit our account, you start earning. The way we pay is we're all earning interest together. You invest with us. We take the principal investment and we blend it to my strategic borrowers. These are 3 different companies that I've been doing business with for 10 years. And all we do is we lend on dirt. I call it dirt. It's land. It's lots. And all they do is get that dirt ready to be shovel ready, and they sell it off to some of the biggest national builders in the country. Here's what I like about that. There's not a lot you can do to screw up dirt. A lot of people don't know this, but taking a piece of ground from raw ground to fully entitled and permitted and shovel ready has the highest profit margin of any part of the real estate process. Our borrowers that are borrowing from us to do this, when they turn around and sell their ground to the national builders, their average gross profit margin is 50%. So they pay us a really good interest rate. And the way that it works is we take the blended interest earnings that we're receiving. Our investors receive 10% of that annually. That's based at a 2.5% quarterly dividend or distribution. So if you have 100,000 in, at a minimum, you get a 10% annual preferred return. You would see a $2,500 check at the end of every quarter. Then let's say we earned a blended 20% on our lending. Investors get 10%. 3% of that covers all of our operation expenses. That's management fees, operation expenses. And if you don't know a whole lot about syndications or funds or offerings, the average syndication out there is usually 5 to 8%. Fees and management and operation expenses and all that. We're typically 3% or less per year. What you'd be left with is 7% from that 20% earnings for the year. We give 60% of that to you, the investor, which would work out to another 4.2%. And that can be partials in a quarter. If we have a strong enough quarter and we feel good about how it's averaging out, it might come at the end of 2 quarters. But in the past 2 years, we've had 3 upside interest quarters per year in 23 and 24. And this year, it's probably going to be 2 upside quarters, but it's mostly going to come in the second half of the year. So anyway, that would mean 10% plus your 4.2%, you would earn about 14.2% based on that average blended 20% earnings into our fund offering. You're also a K1 limited partner. This means that your preferred return is actually going to show on your K1 as a return of capital. That's not taxed. So there are some tax advantages if you're investing outside of your IRA with us. And we've paid anywhere from 12% to 16.5% in the past 6 years to our investors annually. Last year was one of our worst years. It was 12.5%, but that still beat the stock market. We just had our borrowers had a lot of their deals, bigger deals, have some extensions and get pushed out with tariffs and the interest rates up and, administration change. But here's the good thing. We've raised over $83 million that we've put to work with our borrowers. They currently own or control $1.5 billion of ground, which is around 56,000 lots over a 5-state territory: Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And they're growing. So with a 50% average profit margin, that means they're looking at around $750 million in profit against $83 million borrowed from us in all their different operations. That gives us what I feel like, if you understand loan to value, that's a really comfortable loan to value for us. Matter of fact, for anybody, actually. So yes, very simple. You go to our website. You can also just email us at info@rockstarcapitalfund.com. Investments process is simple. Just go to the website, read the testimonials, watch a couple of the videos. You can see some of the details of what it is that we do and some of the case studies and, tests and things like that. As soon as you invest, you're earning money. You're just earning interest. You're going to start receiving quarterly distributions. You'll have an investor portal where you can go in and look at the performance of your investment. That is yours. There is a DRIP option that stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan, which means if you want the distributions, you really want to grow your investment, your distribution will be added to your investment and you can start compounding and growing it from there. This is really great for IRAs or someone that doesn't need that additional distributions as passive income. If you're someone that needs the passive income, fantastic. Let it help pay for your kids' college tuition. Let it help pay for your car. Let it help pay for your repairs or your living expenses. Everybody earns the same. I have investors in at 10,000. I have investors in at 6 figures. I have investors in at 7 figures. But we all simply earn 10% annual preferred. And then after operation expenses, we all share in the upside. And like I mentioned, we've paid out anywhere from 12 to 16.5% per year for the past 6 years.
So key bullet points before we kind of wrap up here, because we don't want to take too long and eat into folks' whole day. They process is simple. They move money over. They go over to rockstarcapitalfund.com, go through everything, click on investor opportunity, and go through the prompts there to get some more information or get the ball rolling. They get 10%, let's call it fixed interest, prime fixed. Right. They're going to get that either way. And then if y'all are profitable, they get a portion of that profit too, 60% of it in relation to their own investment. Right.
Correct.
And then beyond that, their money is invested in almost 800% more raw land. I mean, land, it's not going away. Rain, shine, hell, or high water, it's going to be there. I guess if an asteroid hit Earth and Earth scattered into the universe, and not discount that, it's going to be there. And there's almost 800% more of that than at any point, any amount of money that Rockstar has at play in any of these. So,
and another thing, guys, is, everybody's like, yeah, but what if the builders cancel? What if, the builders stop building? When you're selling to the biggest national builders in the country, they can't stop building and they can't stop buying ground. They'll have gaps. And all of a sudden they can't perform to their shareholders. They start losing staff and, contractors and suppliers, and they don't get it back. And that's what's really great about where we've landed. It's not like we're selling to small regional custom builders, that are affected by all the things that happen. These are all publicly traded companies that have to perform and will find a way. And if most people don't know this, the top 10 builders in the country build about 43% of all rooftops in America. And we sell to 6 of them currently. And we have others that are wanting us to sell, but we're not in their state yet. So, but they keep asking us. They're like, when are you going to be in Tennessee? When are you going to be in Arkansas and Alabama and Missouri? And they're just like, as soon as Rockstar raises more money. So the more money I raise, we have no problem putting it to work. We can raise up to $75 million a year in Rockstar Capital Fund. Again, I've been working with these guys for 10 years. I'm having regular communications with them. I'm out in Charlotte, which is where their headquarters are. I live in Bentonville, Arkansas. Don't hate me for that. It was just the last state I happened to move to. It's the 15th state, and it's the last state I'm ever moving to, by the way. But, we're a family business. We have a track record. We have loyal clientele. We have to submit our financials and do an independent audit every year. When it comes to investing, we just tell you, invest what you're comfortable with. I've had many people say, let me just dip my toe in the water and start there. And then that's turned into much larger investments and a lot of referrals. We don't do any mass marketing. All 560 investors that we have are because they followed me for years, or they're an investor that was referred to us from one of our investors, or or you're being introduced like now with someone that I've, Carson, that I've known and we've had discussions with, and we've worked with their investors for the past several years. So we've just decided that we're ready to grow. Our operations are ready to grow. It's ready to start reaching out and, talking with more people and giving everybody the opportunity to invest with us. And, one of the coolest things about coming over to our team is you get to go and tell people, yeah, I'm a Rockstar investor. Even send you a t-shirt.
It's been phenomenal. I know, because I'm an insurance agent. I don't do investing. We do life insurance, we do annuities, and oftentimes it's not the right fit all the time. I don't do stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. I'm not licensed to do that. And for a lot of folks, a lot of my clients, they already have that, or they want to move some out of it, or they want to diversify in other ways. And I can't help them, but I appreciate the relationship we've had because I've been able to, I'm just make an introduction to say, hey, I can't help you, but my friend Brandon can. And it's been really awesome for me. It's been really awesome for my clients. So thank you for being that. Anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's great. Just don't have fear. Take action. Reach out to us. If you do need to schedule a call with us, in our email introduction we send back, there's a Calendly link to talk to Dylan if you have just maybe a few more questions. But it's really simple. And that's kind of the KISS method that we call it. Keep it simple and short and simple, whatever. You invest with us. It's just like putting your money in a bank. We lend it. We have notes, mortgages, assignments of contracts. We have promissory notes against the entire operation. But what we've lent to them has so much more value than what we've lent. Even if half their deals went bad, they would still be able to pay every single note off with us. And it's a growing operation. And without getting into other details, because there's a whole lot of story behind it, the companies I work with have grown to a point where they are now being looked at by some multi-billion-dollar companies. And there's people wanting them to go public, which is a whole nother world. And we've attracted top execs from national builders that have walked away from their 7-figure jobs to come over and work with BRD Land and Investment, which is one of our main strategic borrowers. That tells you something. When they leave, like a number 1 performing division president in the country for Meritage, the number 5 builder in the country, left his position to come be our new acting CEO. And from the time we brought him on in late 2023, he doubled the land pipeline from somewhere around 26,000 lots to over 56,000 lots. So it's really impressive. We're in and out at dirt, and there's just not a lot you can do to screw up the dirt. And our guys take the dirt and they make it way more valuable. Builders aren't going to stop building, and they're not making land anymore. So I wished I had learned this 25 years ago, but I didn't. So anyway, that's it. We'll keep it short.
Well, cool. Awesome. Appreciate it very much. Folks, reach out to Brandon and his team if you have more questions, but it's good stuff. We'll see ya.
All right. Thank you, guys.